Thank you for being here today. Hopefully, you'll see what we have here with Stem Enhance. I'll give you some information about the product, the science of it, how we came to have what we have today. But let me tell you a little bit how it came about, because we did not, or I did not, I was not interested in stem cell research per se, and then tried to develop a nice product with it. It's really the data and the observation that led us to develop Stem Enhance and the concept that we have. So I'm a neuroscientist by training, so I didn't know much about stem cells except what you know when you go to school and you do college in general anatomy and physiology. So I was focusing mostly on the brain, and I started to work about 12 years ago with a product called Afanisum aqua. Everybody repeats. No, it's a joke. Afanisum aqua. Let's call it simple AFA. It's an aquatic botanical, and as people were consuming this product over the past 2 decades, a little bit more than 2 decades, people would report all kinds of health benefits. If somebody says, I have joint pain, if 1,000 people say, I have joint pain and now feel much better, then you know where you can do your research. It's something that is very good for joints or inflammation. Here with AFA, what we had in terms of testimonials were people reporting benefits with joint pain, mental energy, mental clarity, better immune system, all kinds of things. There was no way to really pinpoint what was the benefit, not the benefit, but how did it work in the body? What was this product doing in the body? So we heard some very interesting testimonials over the years, very things that we would not expect, but we could not explain it. So we didn't do anything with it. We just told people, well, I'm glad you're doing better, and we just left it there. Until early 2000, when data started to come out in the scientific literature talking about embryonic stem cells and what embryonic stem cells can do. And a little bit after that, that adult stem cells, meaning the stem cells in your bone marrow, can do the same thing in your body as embryonic stem cells. So what started to happen now in our brains is that the idea emerged that, well, if a product could support like this the release of stem cells from the bone marrow, and they could become any cells of the body, guess what? Maybe that's how the product is working. I want you to see that 5 years ago, it was a very far-fetched, somewhat lunatic idea. And then over the years, that's what we'll be talking about today, what science has done over those past 4 or 5 years, and how this bridge has been gapped in an amazing way, and how we developed Stem Enhance. So that's a little bit the story of Stem Enhance. Okay, before we get into the information itself, let's just review a few terms so that we're clear on what we're talking about. This is a dietary supplement, so it is ruled by the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. So we cannot talk about cure, healing, regeneration, degeneration, disease name, none of this. So let's do a little bit of nomenclature here to keep us well within the frame of what is structure and function claim. The word entropy. Most people know what entropy is. If you don't clean your house for a week, it's not as clean on the 5th day that it was on the 1st day. Very simple. Everything goes down in this world if we don't maintain it. Your bodies are just the same. So we're trying all of our life, we're trying to fight the process of entropy in our body. It's also known as aging. Okay, second thing, what are stem cells? Stem cells are cells in your bodies that have the ability to become any kind of cells, and they can divide endlessly. I will not go into all the details. You will not be stem cell experts at the end of this lecture, but generally speaking, 2 different types of stem cells. We have embryonic stem cells extracted from, guess what? The embryo. And then adult stem cells extracted from the bone marrow. Adult stem cells are present really everywhere in your body. A few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, before all of this new development in this field, you could find stem cells in the liver. They were called oval cells. In the muscles, satellite cells. In the brain, neuronal stem cells. That was about it. And then obviously in the bone marrow. Today we have pretty much discovered we find them in the muscles, in the liver, most recently in the pancreas, and the retina, in the gut. They're really everywhere. But the main source of it, the bone marrow. Okay? Okay, a little bit more in detail about embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells, just for you to be able to put in perspective what you may have heard in the media, just to bring some clarity to this whole picture. Embryonic stem cells, they're extracted from the young embryo called the blastula, about 2 weeks old. They divide endlessly if you put them in a test tube or a feeder layer, and then they can become virtually any cell type. Very easy to take an embryonic stem cells and push it to become a heart cell, muscle cells, liver cells, brain cells, so on and so forth. Very easy. Because it is so easy to make them divide and make them become another cell type, tons of research has been done on embryonic stem cells. Contrary to adult stem cells, they're present in the bone marrow and various tissues. They can divide endlessly, but in the body, in a test tube, they're very, very difficult to divide. Very, very difficult to push them to become another type of cells. So if you have a choice between the two and you're doing some research, which one do you pick? The one that is tough to work with or the one that is a piece of cake? Obviously, tons of research done on embryonic stem cells, and also embryonic stem cells are sort of buried into a whole ethical dilemma of using embryos. So this is a fabulous thing for the news. We are, unfortunately, in a world of sensational news and media, so there's nothing exciting about adult stem cells. They're boring. They go in your body, they divide, they become other cells, and that's it. The question is, what do we want to improve? Do we want to improve test tubes or our bodies? They're boring, but they do the job, but in the body, not in the test tube. So let's focus on adult stem cells, and now we'll share what has been the development over the past few years in terms of adult stem cell research. 2 years ago, in 2002, we published a paper in Medical Hypotheses. That was the beginning of our journey. When that data started to come out in the literature, our question was, okay, if adult stem cells, by the way, adult stem cells do not mean in the adult. It means after birth. Embryonic stem cells are in the early embryos. When the embryo developed and it's close to being born, it is already adult stem cells. Cord blood stem cells or adult stem cells. So just not to be confused with this, the moment you're born, these are adult stem cells. So the data started to emerge with adult stem cells and what they could be doing in the body. There was a lot of gaps at the time, but there was enough evidence for myself and Dr. Jensen to think that maybe really what we're discovering here is the natural way by which the body rebuilds itself and renews itself. Stem cells are released from the bone marrow, they go into the blood, they travel like this to distant organs, and they become cells of these organs. If I am to summarize all this message, because you are smart here, I'm sure you can repeat all of this to people, but the people you talk to may not be as smart, okay? So here's a very simple way to summarize all of that, okay? So you can forget everything that I've said. All I wanted to do is kind of impress upon you, there's a lot of information. This is solid stuff. It was not, this whole concept of what stem cells can do in your body, I did not develop it. It is probably 100 different scientific teams out there in the world that have come with bits and pieces. This is an idea whose time has come, okay? So health condition, your health is a balance between two things. It's a balance between the ability, or not the ability, but the force in your body that pushes to going down, breaking apart, entropy, aging. At the other end, I have the ability to rebuild, renew. If the rate at which you're going down exceeds the rate at which you can renew, your body will experience unwellness. You can't catch up. It goes down. On the other end, if the ability to renew exceeds the rate at which your body is going down, then your body has a chance to regain optimal health and then maintain optimal health. Here's what Stem Enhance does. Every day, it pushes the balance towards rebuilding. Gives your body an edge every day to rebuild itself. That's basically the concept of what we have with Stem Enhance. Now, a series of questions have emerged over the past few months when we give these lectures. So I've captured about 5 of the most common questions. The first question is, people who are in this field of stem cell research, they're used to compounds like GCSF that I've talked about. 200-fold increase in the number of stem cells in your body. That's like $3 billion. We have a 30% increase. This is very small compared to the 100 to 200-fold. Does it mean something in the body really? What I want to tell you is that it does something. It's probably like me giving you just $300, but it's 10% interest and it goes every day, and I give it to you every day. Give it just a little while, you'll get your $3 billion. Okay? On average, but let me give you some data because I'm sure you want a little bit more meat than just a financial analogy. On average, you have 2.4 stem cells per microliter in your body. A 30% increase means you increase the number of stem cells in your body by 0.8 cells per microliter. This equates, because you have about 5 liters of blood in your body, to about 4 million new stem cells. If you go to Mexico and you get an injection of stem cells, how many stem cells do you think they're injecting? About 1.82, and the super boost is 2.5 million stem cells. 2 capsules of Stem Enhance gives you 4 million stem cells. And the most crucial of this is that, remember, there is a trophic factor here of anywhere between 1,500 to 6,000. So this is like up to 20 billion new stem cells, new target cell in the tissue. So if it's your liver that has a problem, 2 capsules of Stem Enhance gives you the potential of 20 billion new liver cells. Can Stem Enhance deplete the bone marrow? The answer is no, and there's few ways to answer that question. Number one, I said the average is 2.4 stem cells per microliter, but really it's a range between 1.2 and 5. A 30% increase is well within your physiological range. If you do a 30% increase of about anything in that range, what do? You're still within the range of your normal physiology. So Stem Enhance does not do anything in your body that is not already happening. All I do is that I push it into the upper range of your ability to regain and maintain optimal health. It's a little bit, if I'm telling you, being happy changes a lot of things in your life, right? I'm not going to put you on drugs that are going to make you happy. No, I'll just take you and I'll put you as the happy you can be every day. Is that going to make a difference over time? That's what Stem Enhance does. Puts you at the upper range of your ability to regain and maintain health. That's all. Does it every day? The impact over time is mind-blowing. So another way to answer that question, that's a work that was done by Dr. Krauss. It was published in 2001. It was really a landmark study. Krauss asked, can one stem cell reconstitute the entire hematopoietic system, red blood cells, and the immune system? So this group irradiated mice, female mice, and injected a male stem cell. Why do we do this? Because if a male stem cell is in your body, what is so specific about a male stem cell, aside being machos and all of that? It has the Y chromosome. So I can follow anything coming from that stem cell, it will have the Y chromosome. So I inject this one stem cell. 3 weeks later, they found that the animal had completely reconstituted their red blood cells, immune system, and everything. One stem cell can do it. You have a few trillion stem cells in your body. You release 4 million. One can do the job. You're left with 1.669999 something stem cells in your body. Trillion stem cells in your body. Don't worry. It's like taking a penny out of your bank account. If it means something right now, just do the business for a few months. It won't mean anything to take a penny out of your bank account. Now, let me talk a little bit more about this study by Krauss, because there's something very revealing in that study. And that's one of those that was available when we first looked at all of this. That, to me, was so revealing and important. When they looked at these animals who received one male stem cell, 3 to 4 months after that injection, they took samples from the gut, the intestine, the liver, muscles, the brain, the lung, stomach, esophagus, kidneys, and they looked at, do I find any cell of that tissue, kidney cells, lung cells, so on and so forth, that has the Y chromosome? And they found that in most tissues, there was anything between 3 and 10% of the cells of that tissue that had the Y chromosome. In the lung, up to 20% of the pneumocytes were having the Y chromosome. So nothing was done, and here they are. Up to 20% of the lung has been now renewed with stem cells coming all from that one stem cell. It's a natural process that happens all the time. Now, what was even more amazing is that these stem cells can travel everywhere. They can even travel to the brain. So here you have female animals in which male stem cells were injected. So as they traveled like this in the brain, what they start to notice is that the mice start to be messy, cussing around, drink beer, watch sports. It's not true. It's a joke. Scientists said, well, if this is really happening, then if I am a man who receive a transplant from a female, a liver transplant from a female, I have a liver that is filled with liver cells that have what? Double X chromosome. If my stem cell, as a man, travel and go into that liver and become liver cells, what should I find after some time? Liver cells with the Y chromosome. So far, so good. So let's go back into banks of specimens taken from biopsies that are made after liver transplant in the months following a liver transplant when we follow the recovery of the individual. So they went back into this with these tissues and they analyzed the tissue. Do we find Y chromosome, cells having Y chromosome? They found up to 4% of the liver had been replaced with cells carrying the Y chromosome. Nothing had happened with these people. They just had a good life and their stem cells slowly changed that tissue. The most important piece of this is that 2 patients died in that study. So those samples came from people who had died. The autopsy, they took samples from the liver. One died from cirrhosis, the other one from hepatitis C. Challenges of the liver. You know how many liver cells were found with the Y chromosome in these people? 40%. So when an organ goes through a challenge, this is where they go. It was shown in animals, it was shown in humans, it was shown in normal life. It's a phenomenon that is just revealing itself to us more and more. Okay, what is the difference? Anybody here have been consumers of just good old AFA, the raw ingredient for this product? Let me tell you, not that many, but I'm sure you're interested. What's the difference here? I'm buying a product that I'm told is so special. It's coming from a raw ingredient called AFA. If I take AFA, will I get the same effect? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because how did we get on that track? It's because of things that we observed. Over millions of consumers, I got 50 letters of people reporting those amazing, strange recoveries, strange health improvements. So it came from that, but it was a small proportion of people. So we tried to just make a product stronger and better. So as we did this over the years, we really identified 4 compounds in AFA that are responsible for the health benefits that have been reported over the years. People reported improvement in joint pain, general movement, range of motion, immune system, mental clarity, people feel better, many things like this. So it came from 4 compounds. One, well, the 2 that we've talked about here, the L-selectin ligand really helps release stem cells. The polysaccharide helps their migration, but also helps the migration of other immune cells like NK cells, responsible to eliminate or fight viral infections in your body. So people are talking about really having a much stronger immune system when they're on AFA. It's partly this polysaccharide. We have identified a blue pigment in AFA called phycocyanin. Phycocyanin was shown to have very good anti-inflammatory properties. And we also have isolated a compound called phenylethylamine, PEA. It completely redefines the concept of a pea brain. Your brain makes PEA. Naturally, when you're content, it's called the molecule of love. Okay? If you are, let's say, you're painting, sculpting, and you're really absorbed into what you're doing, you're not hungry. Noise around you is not disturbing you. If you have financial problems, they'll come back, but now they're gone. You're just content, okay? Your brain is making PEA. If you're deficient in PEA, it has been associated with depression in kids with ADD. There's some recent work showing that autistic children are deficient in PEA. What is one of the very well-known source of PEA? Chocolate, okay? Chocolate is about 1/10 the amount of PEA we find in AFA. And in Stem Enhance, we do a concentrate, 5-to-1 concentrate. So we have about 5 milligram of PEA per gram in Stem Enhance. 5 to 10 has been shown to have a really strong impact on mental clarity, mental energy, just this feeling of feeling great. It's probably one of the first things that people report when they take Stem Enhance. They just feel better. They don't really know why, they just feel better. It's PEA. So we have those 4 compounds in AFA, and as we make Stem Enhance, incidentally, they're all concentrated in about 5-to-1. So originally when we make Stem Enhance, our view was, let's concentrate those 2 active components, L-selectin ligand and the polysaccharide, because otherwise you need about 5 grams of AFA to start to have this effect in the blood of elevating the number of circulating stem cells. If we tell people take 5 grams or 6 grams of AFA per day, it's like telling them take 20 capsules twice a day. It becomes a veggie cap diet. It's not, you can't mass market that kind of approach. So we had to concentrate it so we could tell people take 2 capsules a day. That's why we did this at the, up front. Now when this was done, I sent the product to a colleague in France. The view was, okay, if I have a nice concept here, meaning elevating the number of stem cells, really helps the body, and I have a product that elevates the number of stem cells, I should have a winning situation here. But I don't know. This is all nice. Until then, it's just a nice idea in my brain. So ship the product to a colleague scientist in France and ask him, test this with your patients. He was one of those weird doctors with receiving patients that no other doctors can help them, and was trying to do whatever he could. So I said, just give them the product. I will not go into the results that we've got, because some of them are actually quite astonishing, but the results were such that with AFA, when I would receive those letters historically in the past, before all this work, when we did not know what was happening, I would receive letters 6 to 9 months after people would start to take AFA. I would then receive the letter. With this product, 2-3 weeks after, people are coming back and they're starting to report amazing results. So really the difference between AFA and STEM Enhance, first is that you have the essence of AFA, but the results are so much faster and much greater in magnitude. That's really the difference with AFA in STEM Enhance. It doesn't mean don't take AFA. It has a lot of rebuilding and good properties, but really we capture the heart of it in STEM Enhance. Next question. What happens when stem cells do not reach any tissue? This is a very serious question. In one individual, it increases like this 30% every day. In one individual, we followed this buildup in the blood, and they really built up a lot of stem cells, and after about a month, he grew a third eye in the back of his head. But he liked that. It's just that it needed glasses. No, it's not true. Stem cells won't build in the blood. After about 4 to 6 hours, they just go back to the bone marrow. If a stem cell is not used, it goes back to the bone marrow. It does not have any buildup. It is a natural process. You're doing it since the day you're born. You just didn't know you were doing it, and now we're just helping it. Last question, which may be one of the most important for you. What is the economic value of all of this? I don't think I have to go into a lot of detail to tell you how important that is, but it's a network marketing company. If you are interested, you can become a distributor and start to make some good income with this and reach some good financial freedom. But what is the value of it? Let's just look at it from one angle. There was a presidential address on stem cells. Have you ever heard about a presidential address on inflammation? Have you had a presidential address on beta-carotene? St. John's wort, lycopene, pycnogenol. There's nothing on the marketplace that has been the topic of a presidential address. All it does is that it creates really unprecedented awareness about the topic. When I was in New York about 2 months ago in November, we had a business testimonial. The person said, I've been in this industry for 25 years. The rule of thumb is you talk to 10 people, you get 9 no's and 1 yes. He said, in this business, I get 9 yes and 1 maybe. And it's just because everybody has heard about stem cell to the degree that it has penetrated our society that you now find stem cells in cartoons. The trick will be to separate the nuclei, religion and politics. Frozen embryos. What do you want to be when you grow up? Nothing. I'm going into stem cell research. And here's one that, keep in mind, cartoons, they're going deep because they carry information. Why do people use them for passing political messages? They're powerful. They just go through everything. Take 2 stem cells and call me in the morning. What do you think is the effect of something like this in the marketplace? Okay? Stem cell research. This will save lives. Stem cell research. This will save my conservative base. There's one problem, though. One big problem. Can STEM Enhance cure disease? There's the real answer in some ways, and there's the real answer that we can say, no, it can't, okay? It can't cure disease. We can't talk about healing. We cannot talk about repair, regeneration, any kind of disease name. We are a dietary supplement. We need to stay within function, structure and function claims. The biggest weakness with this product, I want you to really understand this, the biggest problem with this product, the biggest weakness is that it works too good. It does things in people that if people start to talk about it, it's getting a little bit out of hand. So we're really here in a campaign of anti-hype. We don't make testimonials on our website. We don't make CDs with testimonials. Many companies will take their 3 best testimonials and they'll just platter them everywhere. That's because they don't have any others. We don't have that problem. Just turn around and talk to your neighbor, you'll hear a story. So we're not using testimonials because we don't need to. All you need to do is what I talked about in this talk. It supports the release of stem cells from the bone marrow, thereby assisting the body in regaining and maintaining optimal health. The greater the number of circulating stem cells, the greater is your health. That is the key message that we have to tell people, and we just tell them, try it.